Long before the rise of the great civilizations of Mesopotamia and Egypt, there was a remarkable place on the Anatolian plains of what is now Turkey, where thousands of people once lived together in one of the earliest known cities in the world. This settlement, known as Catalhöyük, flourished nearly 9,000 years ago, around 7,100 BCE, and continued for more than a millennium. What makes Catalhöyük so extraordinary is not just its age, but the way its people lived. For unlike later cities that grew along carefully planned streets and squares, Catalhöyük was a city without streets. Its houses were built so closely together that the rooftops formed a continuous platform, and people moved from one home to another, not by walking along alleys, but by climbing ladders and stepping across flat roofs. Life was lived both inside and on top of these mud brick homes, and the city resembled a honeycomb of interconnected spaces that gave its inhabitants safety, unity, and a sense of shared community. Inside the homes of Catalhöyük, archaeologists have discovered a vivid picture of daily life and spiritual belief. Each house was made of sun-dried bricks and plastered with white surfaces that were regularly maintained. Families cooked their meals on hearths and ovens built into the walls. They slept on raised platforms and stored food in bins and jars. But more striking than the architecture were the decorations on the walls, which often included paintings of hunting scenes, geometric designs and symbolic images of animals. Bulls, leopards and vultures appeared again and again, hinting at a spiritual or ritual significance. These were not the plain dwellings of people merely surviving, but places where art, belief and community were woven into everyday existence. The people of Catalhöyük also practiced a unique approach to death. Burials took place beneath the floors of houses, with the deceased placed in shallow graves within the home itself. Generations of families were interred together under the spaces where life continued above. Some skeletons were buried with ornaments, beads or objects suggesting ritual care, while in some cases skulls were removed and later replastered or painted. This mingling of the living and the dead shows a world-view in which ancestors remained part of a household, where life and death coexisted without sharp separation. The city itself thus became not just a home for the living, but also a resting place for the ancestors whose presence anchored the community. Economically, Catalhöyük thrived on farming and herding, but also on trade and craft. The fertile Konya plain provided rich soil for growing wheat, barley and peas, while domesticated sheep and goats were raised for meat, milk and wool. The people became skilled artisans, creating obsidian tools that were highly valued. Obsidian, a volcanic glass sourced from nearby mountains, was shaped into sharp blades, mirrors and ornaments and traded across great distances. This trade connected Catalhöyük to wider networks of exchange long before the emergence of writing or formal states. The wealth and variety of goods found in the settlement show that it was not an isolated village, but part of a broader web of human interaction. What is perhaps most intriguing about Catalhöyük is how its society was organized. Unlike later cities that often had kings, palaces or monumental temples, Catalhöyük shows no clear evidence of social hierarchy or centralized authority. Houses were built to similar sizes and no single structure dominates the site. There are no fortifications suggesting constant warfare, nor are there palaces that indicate ruling elites. Instead, the community seems to have been remarkably egalitarian, with social life centered on households that were roughly equal in size and importance. While, some homes contained more elaborate paintings or ritual objects, the general pattern really points to a society that valued shared traditions more than sharp divisions of wealth or power. This has led scholars to describe Catalhöyük as a city without rulers, an early experiment in large-scale communal living. Yet Catalhöyük was not a static society. Over the centuries, it grew to house thousands of people, but eventually declined. The reasons, they remain debated. Environmental pressures may have strained the community as the fertile land became exhausted, or as climate shifts altered the region. Disease could have spread rather easily in such densely packed living conditions, leading to health challenges. Social pressures or conflicts may also have played a role. Whatever the causes, by around 6000 BCE, Catalhöyük was largely abandoned, leaving behind layers of houses built atop one another and the remnants of a society that had pioneered a new way of living. Today, Catalhöyük remains a site of immense importance to archaeology and to our understanding of human history. Excavations have revealed not just artifacts, but insights into how people transitioned from small farming villages to large urban centres. It shows that the city, as an idea, did not begin with monumental architecture or kingship, but with ordinary people living closely together, organising life through households, shared rituals and community bonds. The absence of streets and the reliance on rooftops remind us that there is no single blueprint for urban life, and that early humans experimented with many different forms of settlement before cities became the complex entities we know today. The story of Catalhöyük challenges our assumptions about civilization. It reminds us that urban life began not only with rulers, temples and armies, but also with farmers, builders, artists and families who created a thriving community without streets, without rulers and without monuments. Yet, despite its simplicity, or perhaps because of it, Catalhöyük endured for over 1,000 years and left a legacy that shows how flexible and creative human societies can be. It stands as a testament to the ingenuity of our ancestors, who transformed mud brick and plaster into a living city, and who left behind walls painted with symbols of their world to remind us that even at the dawn of urban life, people sought meaning, connection and beauty.